All right. Welcome to another edition of Baseball for Maniacs. This episode is going to be something a little fun we're doing, a little bit of a therapy session for the Phils and Red Sox fans. I'm going to go through my top 5 most heartbreaking Phillies losses, and Ryan's going to do the same. There hasn't been much news. We're waiting on the big signing, so this is just something we thought would be fun for you guys. We're going to do a bunch of new stuff, kind of see what sticks. You guys let us know in the comment section if you like this episode, if there's something you guys want us to do. But it's me. There's my buddy Ryan.
What's up, guys? Most of these are probably going to look like playoff losses because I can't really think of a last regular season heartbreaking loss, to be completely honest. The Red Sox have either been in first place or we've secured the wild card, so there hasn't really been a time in the regular season where there's been too much heartbreak, but I got some pretty good ones right here. One of them is way before my time. The other one I was barely sentient for, but it was one of my first vivid baseball memories. But Owen, how about you start us off with your 5 most heartbreaking Philadelphia Phillies losses?
All right, and mine are all playoff losses. 4 out of the 5 are from this current era because when the Phillies playoffs. I was still I watched the games, I felt it, but I was a kid, and I'm obviously more invested into it now than I was, so I feel it more. We're gonna start at number 5, Game 5 of the 2022 World Series. So we're coming off getting no hit, and it shows you how fast baseball moves. Because 2 days ago, the South Philly Bombers with 5. We were up 2-1. It just felt like we were going to win it. Game 4 happens, whatever, you brush it off. You go 3-2 against Houston. You're feeling pretty good. And it was just like that's the game you felt the magic ran out. It wasn't game 4 because anything happens in baseball, dude. And then when we were down 3-1 in the 8th, when Gene hit that single to make it 3-2, and then you just felt it in CBP like that we were going to win that game. Then of course Marsh comes up, strikes out, and then Schwarber ropes the ball to Trey Mancini. Love Trey Mancini, what he went through, obviously with cancer. One of my favorite players to be able to go through that. He comes in the game as defensive replacement because I think Gurriel got a freaking concussion.
Yeah.
And it was just, dude, that's when you felt the magic ran out. But then in the 9th, JT smokes one to Jake Myers. Oh, no, Chas McCormick. My bad. And he just most unbelievable catches. Chas McCormick, I believe he's a Philly native, grew up as a Phillies fans. Thanks, dude. Like, you just ruined the hearts of millions in Philadelphia. And the vivid image of like JT just putting his hands over his head. And it was just tough, man. I put it at 5 and that's the only one from 2022 because that run, even though we didn't win it, it felt like we won it. It was just so magical to where I'll never forget it. Obviously, it ended in heartbreak, but we didn't expect to be there. No one expected that. That run brought the city together, and it was amazing. But yeah, that game 5, super tough. Um, Number 4. Game 4 of the 2023 National League Championship Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I remember watching Game 3 when Craig blew it and then we're down 2-1. I felt no stress. I was like, okay. And sometimes in my head, I'm like, well, I don't want to sweep them just because I don't want that long layoff. Shows how cocky I was, how cocky the city was. Garrett Stubbs said, we're going to win it in Arizona so we can celebrate in the freaking pool. Whatever. And that game pissed me off for numerous reasons. Our ace now, Christopher Sanchez, that was his first year pitching in the big leagues. Well, not in the big leagues, as like a bona fide start in the rotation. Got called up in June. He wasn't the Christopher Sanchez what he was, but it was between him and Taijuan Walker. If Taijuan Walker ever steps foot on a mound in a playoff game when he's starting, I might get arrested. So we went with Christopher Sanchez, and I remember first inning, he forgets the outs. First playoff game, whatever, run scores, but Rob takes him out, and it worked in game 1 of the DS when he pulled Ranger early and it was like a bullpen game. But the luxury we had in the division series was we had an off day the next day, just the way it lined up. We didn't have an off day the next day, so he ran through our bullpen. And it worked up until the 8th. And everyone says the Rob defenders, and I don't think Rob should get fired, but he's had his moments. They say, well, they had to go to Craig because they didn't have anyone else at the time. Why did they have to go to Craig? Because you went to the bullpen way too early, and you knew he was cooked. For all the hate, and Ryan knows how much I despise Craig Kimbrell as a player, not as a human being. You try to separate the two unless it's Craig Kimbrell. But he had a really good 2023. Like, he was good. He made the All-Star team. He closed the All-Star game out in Seattle. But he was overworked because he had to be. Our bullpen wasn't that good. So in a way, I still blame Craig Kimbrell. Like, I have nightmares about him.
Yeah.
But in a way, cooked. Like, his arm was cooked. He didn't have his control. The velocity was down. So they went to him. And Alex Thomas, dude, he sucks. Alex Thomas sucks. And it wasn't even like a pitch middle. It was like outside, he pokes it, he hits it out. I remember, dude, that night was insane because I went out to the bar with my buddies, and then we were going to go to another one. We Uber, obviously, because do not drink and drive, Uber from bar to bar. And I remember vividly, I was at the next bar. It was like a dive bar, like outside. And they didn't have the game on. They had it upstairs. But I didn't know at the time. So I'm watching on my phone. And I'm just like, I see it happen. I'm like, oh, Jesus. But it's still tied. But then he leaves a couple base runners. Jose gives it up. And it was just like, you knew if you win that game, you're going to win the series. Like, there's no way Arizona's coming back from 3-1. Came back from 3-2. Whatever. We'll talk about that later. But it was just like, damn, dude. Like, that was the moment where the tide turned. Granted, we still should have won the series. We'll get into that. But, man, just that image of Alex Thomas, like, going like this. Craig Kimbrell, just the life being sucked out of him. It was just devastating, man. And we'll go to the point. Baseball is designed to break your heart. It's done it to us many times, as Ryan knows. But it's like, when eventually we do win it, maybe it'll all be worth it. But yeah, that was number 4 for me. Just devastating. I'm sure that's going to be on a lot of people's like top list. Also, if you guys have your top 5, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. I love hearing your guys' opinions as well. And then let's go to number 3. The wound is pretty fresh. It is Game 4 of the 2025 National League Division Series. So, a little backstory. I went to Games 1 and Game 2. Tickets cost me between the two about $1,000. Whatever, money. And we were down 2-0. And I remember leaving CBP after Game 2, just devastated. I get back on the flight. It was an early flight the next day. I get back in. I live in Florida now. And I had that mindset. Don't let us win Game 3, man. The freaking Kevin Millar quote went with the Red Sox. Just don't let us win. And when we won and beat Yamamoto, I genuinely believe we were going to win the World Series because it was an afternoon game. You had Sanchi on the bump, and then we take the lead. I posted a TikTok today, Castellanos, like when he hit the double down the line, it's 1-0. Man, I thought we were going to win. And then the 7th inning happens. 2-2, 1 out. Sanchez throws a pitch to Alex Call. I'm sure we've all seen it. It was a strike, dude. It was. And the umpire apologized to Chris Sanchez. I wish he would have just shut his damn mouth, dude. Just like, you got the call wrong. Don't put salt in the wound. And then he walks another guy. Duran comes in. And then it was a 3-2 to Mookie. Ball 4, 1-1. In that moment, I think every Phillies fan just felt the doom. It's like, damn, if Sanchez just gets through the 7th, Duran comes in and pitches the 8th and 9th, we go back to Philly for a Game 5. Whatever, it doesn't happen. Duran pitches a great 8th. Matt Strahm came in the 9th. And when I saw him warming up, I threw my hands and said, it's over. He got the job done. And then Sasaki came in. Dude, it's freaking Sasaki, man. Freaking 1 month like before, he was like in AAA struggling to find it. And he throws 3 scoreless against us. Save me, dude. That's freaking ridiculous. Luzardo came in, the biggest balls of a pitcher we had on that team in that playoff series, comes in, does a great job. And then let's get to the moment that everyone knows, the Orion Kirkring play. So let me just set the scene for you. I was watching the game, obviously, at my house. And I'm a baseball superstition. I'm a psychopath. I'm moving all around like, oh, this spot's not good. This spot's good. So I eventually found myself outside of my apartment, door open, so I could see what's going on. But that's where I was. And my roommate, who's a Yankees fan, was watching it with me. And the play goes to Kirkering, and it's like a traumatic event where you remember, but you don't. And obviously, the play happens. He overthrows it. I wasn't. It was like shock. It was like Tyreek Hill blowing out his leg, and he's laughing as he's like on the stretcher. In that moment, I was like, no, that makes perfect sense how it would end. It felt so poetic and heartbreaking. And I just walk out the apartment. I just go on a walk. I plug in my headphones. I listen to some sad freaking music. And that one wasn't so much anger. It was more just sadness because it felt like that was the core's last shot. Now we are kind of running it back. Okay, let's see what happens. But then you didn't know Schwarber was coming back. The post game interview of him basically almost crying. And then you just feel bad on a human level for Ryan Kirkering because, like, obviously the ball got hit to him. He juggled it and he just blacked out. Like, he just did not know what to do. And for the most part, I think Phillies fans, even though we're not rational, were like, he's not the reason we lost. He wasn't. It was
No.
our top three hitters just not doing their job. And it was just, man, dude, I mean,
And if I may,
yeah,
if you've ever played baseball and you've been in that exact same situation as a Ryan Kerkering, you've probably made that very same mistake. Now, granted, are you pitching at a high stake level to get your team closer to the World Series? No, you're not. But I guarantee you that every single one of you listening or watching has muffed a play. Every single one of you has missed a throw. Every single one of you has thrown to the wrong bag. It happens. It's baseball.
it just sucks that it happened when it happened. Um, I don't know if Orion Kirkman's coming back. If he does, we're giving him a standing ovation. He's a human man,
Better.
and did his freaking job, man. He got Andy Paez to like hit a weak grounder back to him. But that was devastating. Number two is the only one I have not from this era. It is the 2011 NLDS Game 5. And what I remember about that was it was just going into we had Holiday. Now they had Carpenter. Like it was obviously going to be a pitching duel.
It was the Cardinal series. Okay.
Yeah, and it was just you just wanted that hit. You just wanted that big hit that never came. At least Smokes went to the wall to start the inning. I think it was one out. John Jay, love John Jay, makes a play on the wall. And then Ryan Howard just grounding out and tears an Achilles. It's like it's literally how the script writers wrote it up. Like that was the end of that era. And if they beat St. Louis, they win the World Series, man. Just how I feel about if we beat the Dodgers, we win the World Series. Because St. Louis obviously went on and had that magical run. David Freese, we will see you tomorrow night. And it was just like as a kid, but you don't realize that as a kid because you're a kid, dude. I was 11 years old. And I'm like, oh, they'll be back. And they weren't back for 10 freaking years. And it's just like what I try to tell like Phillies fans and baseball fans in general when your team makes the playoffs, savor that moment. Even if like it's our fourth straight year, it nothing is guaranteed. And it's like just don't take this for granted, man. So like when everyone says, "Oh, don't run it back," I want to get in the playoffs. I want a shot at this thing because if you get in, anything can happen.
And that happens in any sport because the Chiefs just missed the playoffs today, actually. Everything went right, and the Chiefs, who have been perennial contenders in the Super Bowl, are out. They're not even going to play in the playoffs.
Dude, and I see these TikTok edits about like the end of the dynasty. Save me that, dude. You got two super what, they won three, right?
Three, I think, yeah.
Dude, I have nothing. I have no World Series except when I was 8 years old, barely had consciousness. So, like, save the sad edits. I get it, you're doing a job, you're a content creator, but yeah, save me that. But let's go to the biggest heartbreak that this might sound psychotic, but it's 100% true. I think about this series at least once a week. And of course, back to the 2023 NLCS. I lumped game 6 and game 7 together because so game 6 was like at 5 o'clock, game 7 was at 8 o'clock. So you got to think this all happened in a span of 28 hours. And game 6, man, you felt way too confident. It's like you got nose on the bump. You just won game 5. You're at home. Let's go back to the World Series. And then Nola gives up a 3 spot in the second. Okay. then Marsh hits one, and he gets the second. It's 3-1. I thought we were going to win it there, but the bats just disappeared. Game 7, they score a run in the first. Then Bomer hits a moonshot. Stotty puts one in the gap. I remember I was at my local bar just losing my freaking mind. Like, yo, we're going to go back. We're going to win this. We're going to finish the job. And I can't really pinpoint, like, between those two games, like, a moment of, like, anger. It was more just, like, constant frustration because the Diamondbacks just threw curveball in the dirt, in the dirt. We're swinging. We're swinging. And it was the biggest mental choke job, I believe, in baseball history. I'm biased because obviously it's the Phillies. That's what happened. But I still don't believe it to this day. But like watching it in real time, my dad flew down from Jersey, surprised me before Game 6 because he wanted to celebrate with his son another Phillies pennant. And then after the second inning of Game 6, we didn't speak a word just because it was like the eeriness of like what was happening. And when we lost Game 7, I really felt like we were gonna. Or when we lost Game 6, we were gonna lose Game 7. And it's just like going back on the point of you never know when you're gonna get back. That was the year to win it. Like if the Phillies win that World Series, every single person on this core that is getting just blasted on social media, whether it's Alec Bohm, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, all the perception around this core is they can never finish the job. Man, if they win that World Series, dude, I truly believe this core is held in a better light than the Rollins, Utley, Howard era. Because man, we love those guys. Like we fill the bank all the time. I still love those guys. I appreciate what they're doing. But it's just like, damn, dude, that was the chance. And that's my top 5. Before we get into your top 5, it's just kind of like harping on the point. This is baseball, man. We are psychopaths. We watch 162 games to get heartbroken in October, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And it was always the 2026 Phils. Let's go, baby.
Alrighty then. So we've gotten through your little bit of heartbreak. So now let's go through mine. At number 5, it's not the most heartbreaking in the world because we ended up winning the World Series afterwards. However, I got game 3 of the 2018 World Series, the one that went 18 innings, where Nathan Eovaldi became Nathan Eovaldi. Now, a lot of people don't really seem to fathom how impressive of an outing Nathan Eovaldi had. He came in I think, the 11th inning and pitched all the way through to the bottom of the 18th when Muncy came up and hit that walk-off nuke. However, if you stayed up for that entire game, all 18 innings, like I did, you really were deflated after that loss. Because not only was this game in, like, it ended at like 2:30 in the morning, it was in LA. So it was a West Coast start time. Thank God that they start the World Series games at like 5 o'clock when they're out west. Because if they started at 8, that means an 11 p.m. airtime here in Jersey, which means I probably would have been up till 4:30, 5 o'clock watching this game. And for that to be a loss, that made it just that much worse. We did
Yeah.
end up coming back. We were the best team in baseball that year. We were up 2-0 at that point. That made the series 2-1. You knew you weren't going to sweep the Dodgers. But either way, that was a really fun game to watch, but the way that it ended, it just left a sour taste in your mouth. The Red Sox needed to respond after that, and thankfully they did. But that one really, really hurt me. And
Yeah.
now moving on to number 4. This one is probably the most recent addition on this. But game 3 of the wild card of this past playoff, October 2nd, 2025, the Cam Schlittler game. I don't even I don't even know. Cam Schlittler, Boston born and bred, first of all. He is from Boston, big time Bruins fan. He was all over Twitter recently because all the Boston fans were giving him so much crap about you really went ahead and did this. And he doubled down afterwards too. F the Red Sox, F this, F that. They didn't have a chance, blah 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 blah. Running his mouth all over X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, he pitched phenomenally. But we had a guy pitching great too. It was 2 rookies going at it in game 3 of the wild card. It was Connolly early for the Red Sox and then Hitler for the Yankees. But, we were supposed to have a better offense than the Yankees because who did the Yankees have in the lineup that's not named Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that all we had to do was get Judge out. And what does Judge do in the playoffs? Not a thing. So really, all we had to do was keep him at bay, and we were fine. All we had to do was beat Cam Schlittler, but for whatever reason, we just could not do it. Connolly early came in and pitched his heart out. He pitched amazing. I didn't expect that from him. His bats just didn't pick him up. That's something that you can't win just solely based on pitching. It helps, but you need those crooked numbers. You need those runs. And when you
Yeah,
can't provide them in high leverage situations that get you to the DS, I didn't think we were going to go to the World Series this year anyway. But if we would have beat the Yankees, that would have been my World Series. I didn't need much else after that. I love beating the Yankees. It's my favorite thing in the world. I don't even care if we win the World Series. If we beat the Yankees in the playoffs and we lose in the next round, swept, I don't care. We beat the Yankees.
yeah,
That's all I care about. But we couldn't do it when they had a rookie on the bump in Yankee Stadium. That would have just been so apropos. But I left my TV running, and you know how it's kind of like when you lose a close game, when like you're playing a video game and you lose a close game, and you kind of just sit there staring at the floor, and the music from the game is just filling in the background. There's no noise except the music, and you're just contemplating your life. That's kind of how I was after Game 3. There was not a lot of good thoughts going through my head.
yeah. Like when you lose in the playoffs, man, especially like early, because obviously we lost about maybe like a week later, but still relatively early. It's just the thought of, oh crap, we have the rest of October, November, December, January. Once pitchers and catchers report, you kind of flush it away. It's a new season. But it's like when there's no baseball, man, like obviously we like basketball, we like football. Nothing compares. And it's just the dread of like, man, we got a while. And then we got a whole year to wait and if we even get back to the playoffs. And it's just the dread of like thinking about all that time.
Yeah, and I will say the only reason this is at number 4 and not higher was because I remember the week after I was in the airport. I was leaving Indianapolis Airport because I was out visiting some family out there, and I saw the Raiders play the Colts. We don't got to talk about that one, but I was in the airport at the terminal, and all I hear is, "Dude, they scored 11 runs," and I'm like, "Who's playing right now?" So I went to go check, and the Blue Jays were putting belt to ass to the Yankees, 11-0, and I was like, okay, this makes everything so much better. I became the biggest Blue Jays fan in the world after that. That sounds crazy to say, but I was low key rooting for the Jays all the way through. Either way.
No, I get that, and it's funny when it's like when a rival beats you, but then they just get their ass beat next round. 2024 when the Mets beat us, and then the Dodgers just gentlemen swept them in 6 games. It's like, of course, I'll still have the Mets fans like this past year. NLDS, NLDS. I said, dude, not one game made my top five list. Your NLCS appearance is your World Series. You're pathetic. And then they have, and now Stearns is just Jorge Polanco. All right, dude. It's just like if you don't win it all after that, it doesn't matter. Similar to when we beat the Braves,
Mm-hmm.
like they have a championship and we don't. So they have that like thing in the end of an argument that you can't come back from. We have a ring. Oh damn, they do have a ring and we don't. So like
Yeah. But now we're moving on to number 3. This one was about 10 years before this one. I'll never forget this. I was watching this game. I was 16 years old. We had a season that we really shouldn't have, and we got swept by the Guardians. They were the Indians at the time, but we got swept by the Guardians. That was the year they went to the World Series against the Cubbies, I think, in 2015. And
six, six yeah.
yeah, so that game was October 10th, 2015, and that was Big Poppy's last game in Fenway. He had the best final season that anybody could ask for. If you go and look at his numbers, the numbers really stated that he could have played another 3 to 4 years. And the one thing that you want when you know your guy is retiring, you want to get him one more. Like if Bryce Harper came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, my body can't do it much more after this season, I'm retiring," the first thought in your head would be, "Well, let's go get him a World Series." That
Yeah.
would be your first thought. So when I found out that Poppy was retiring, I was like, well, we got to go get him a ring. This has to be the year that we lock in and get him a ring. We won one in 2013. Why couldn't we go back and do it again? So we get to the DS and we're playing a really, really, really good Guardians team. That's when Klubat was really pitching very well. I think Cookie Salazar was what, or Cookie Carrasco was on his stuff, and Danny Salazar was also really, really good in that rotation.
That was when Andrew Miller like turned into God on the mound out of the bullpen, right?
Yes, yes, it was. Now, and I'll never forget it. The last out, it was a lazy little fly ball to right field, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a Kyle moment. I may have started beating on my door a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's just the anger. Like, damn, I'm never gonna see Big Poppy play again. Damn, this is how I got to see him go out. And then watching him come out, tears in his eyes, getting up on the mound, tipping his cap. Nobody left. Nobody in the stadium left. He went up there, tipped his cap, cameras all around him, tears in his eyes, tears in my eyes, sinking like my my second favorite Red Sox player of all time, and I'm never gonna get to see him play again. And that one really, really, really hurt me.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'll harp back on this point. It's like, how blessed are we to feel these emotions about a sport? But it's like, when it's bad and heartbreaking. When it's good. You weigh the both. And it's just like, yeah, man, just sitting there, just like, damn, it's really over. Kind of how I felt in 2011. Well, not really, because I really thought they were going to come back. But like, when looking back on it now, that image of Howard just like getting helped out by Victorino off the field, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, damn, dude. But yeah,
And it's like, even if you can, like, talking about something that happened last night, I'm a big wrestling fan. John Cena just had his final wrestling match in the WWE. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are also wrestling fans, but I have no shame in my game. I cried like a little girl last night. I cried so hard because, again, it's just like, damn, my childhood, it's all
yeah,
going away. It's
dog
nothing.
kill you.
It exactly, and it was so sad. But either way, these last two here, they were a little before my time. But number two, I remember it was one of the first Red Sox games that I ever watched, and it is the one reason why a certain manager still has a job. I'm talking about October 16th, 2003, and this was the
Mm,
year before the Red Sox had come back against the Yankees when they were up 3-0 in the CS. If
mm.
we're going to talk about our favorite ones, we could do that one next episode. But um, the year before that, Tim Wakefield on the bump. Rest in peace, Tim Wakefield. Who's at the plate? I apologize for my language, but this is the nickname that we gave him. Aaron fucking Boone. And what does he do? He rips a walk-off home run off of Tim Wakefield, sends us
Moon.
home, and then I think the Yankees even went on to win the World Series that year, unless that was the Marlins year.
Yeah, that was they lost that year against the Marlins. That was the
Okay,
Marlins.
good. So it didn't even work out for him.
Yeah,
But either way, I hate that this still affects me to this day because I was, what, 2003? I was 4. I was 4 years old when this happened. And I
yeah,
remember it vividly. My dad was losing his mind. My dad's a bigger Red Sox fan than I am. So he was having a conniption about it. And, being a kid, you follow in your parents' footsteps. You react how your parents react to certain things. My dad, he wasn't really throwing anything, but he was pretty upset. So I got pretty upset. And as I've gotten older and I realized, like, how much bad luck that the Red Sox had gotten into that point. Like, good God, what else could have happened to us at that point? It's going to lead into my number one most heartbreaking loss, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows exactly what my number one most heartbreaking loss in Red Sox history is going to be. Because I think about it, I wasn't even alive, and it breaks my heart. But if I'm going to harp on 2003 for just a little bit longer, that was the awakening. That's what kind of got the Sox out of, like, it got their head out of their ass, really. We still had Grady Little as a manager. The next year he gets fired, I think halfway through the year, and then we bring in Terry Francona. Tito got that got that team exactly where they needed to be. Tito, in my opinion, is a top 5 manager to ever do it. And maybe that's my Red Sox bias, but I think
no,
he is a top 5 manager all time.
yeah,
The way he was able to turn around the Guardians when he got there, the way he was able to keep the Red Sox team afloat for as long as he did while he was there, even during the John Farrell ages, that was Terry Francona's team, mind you. And, like, I don't know. I Thankfully I wasn't too sentient to really understand the implications on it, but good God in heaven.
yeah,
And now let's get to number one. Now, everybody knows this game. If you don't know this game, you're not a baseball fan. It's a very iconic call by Vin Scully himself. Little roller up along the first base, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. October 25th, 1986, Game 6 of the World Series. Bill Buckner lets that ball go through his legs, and then the Mets win Game 7 the very next night. That would have been the first World Series since the Babe Ruth era for the Red Sox. And then
Yeah.
after that, we didn't win the World Series till 2004. It just, again, the luck, everything. That's why baseball players are so superstitious. That's why Cubs fans still get the shakes when you mention a Billy Goat. It's why the Red Sox fans don't really like talking about the Bambino, because the curse of the Bambino, low key, I think it's still active. I don't think that curses really go away with, unless it's like implications of World Series, kind of like how the Billy Goat was. I don't
Mm.
think they go away. We're still suffering from the Babe Ruth curse because we still make stupid trades. If you want to talk about the Mookie Betts trade, if you want to talk about the Rafael Devers trade, if you want to talk about the trade that brought in Gonzo and Carl Crawford, that one pisses me off to this day.
Yeah.
the the implications of the curse of the Bambino still affect the Red Sox to this day. I think it still affects us in the sense of how we sign our free agents because we haven't signed anybody, and it affects us to this day because we need the Red Sox, almost the Red Sox nation, Red Sox fans. We almost need a mental block because we have to blame something because there's no way that we're just this incompetent off season after off season after off season after off season. October 25th, 1986 set the precedent for what the Red Sox were. We were going to get there, but we were never going to finish. We were always going to be that hopeful team that everybody roots for. Oh, they're going to do it. They're finally going to do it. And it just didn't do it. And Bill Buckner, his legacy was forever ruined. Gold glove fielder.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too, because he used to play on the Cubbies. So people would, and he, during that game, underneath his first baseman's mitt, Cubs batting glove.
I did see it. Yeah, that's like when things are kind of out of your hand. It's like, okay, there's something deeper going on here.
Yeah, call me superstitious, call me a nutcase, but that is the most heartbreaking loss. Even if I never, that will probably be the most heartbreaking loss to ever happen to the Red Sox ever. I wasn't even around for it. I'm happy I wasn't around for it, but it still makes me mad because are we the most successful team since the year 2000? Yes, we are. But imagine how much better we could have been if Bill Buckner just makes the play.
Yeah. It's like now, not to what's the word, discredit how you feel, obviously. You still have the like you guys won it like in your lifetime after that. Now we won
Yeah,
it in 08, and it's like so I'm kind of a psychopath in the sense like some people like with the Phillies, like they won't go back and watch the heartbreaking games. I will. Like I will like dive in and just to feel something. And it's just like I can't wait till the day when we finally do win it. Knock on wood if we do, I'd be great to where I can just kind of breathe about the Arizona series and kind of just let it go because you won. That's why I thought 2025 was going to be so great, like capped off that 4-year run.
yeah,
Um, but before we end this episode, I kind of want to shout out the Blue Jays fans. Now they're having the time of their life because the owner's just going crazy with it. I, if that game 7 happened to me, like with the Phillies, you with the Red Sox, dude, that was genuinely insane. Like, obviously, the Phillies games are heartbreaking. You have the Curry play. There were multiple between game 6 and game 7. I just can't imagine what it'd be like to be a Blue Jays fan watching that. Like, I can't.
dude. I I was out the weekend of like the games 5 through 7 of the World Series. I was involved in a wedding that weekend. So
Yeah.
I was in the lobby of this hotel watching the game 7, and I'll never forget it. I forgot who exactly was at the plate for the Jays. I don't remember who ripped it. It might have been Vladdy, but the catch that Pajes made at the end of the ninth
Oh,
that sent the game into extras,
that was Clement.
that
Dude,
was
that
only Clement.
makes sense how that happened. I saw Kike, like, because you hit well, before that, Vladdy smoked one, I think to start the ninth, like a 3-0 pitch, and you thought for a second Joe Carter, and another heartbreaking one, but I wasn't alive for that. But the Clement one, you see Kike like running back, and if you ever played the outfield and you're running like this, dude, you're probably cooked unless you're Willie Mays. And then Andy Pajes, who was just put in, literally, it was a mid-inning defensive replacement, comes in. and the balls on that guy to just be like, okay. Like, oh, because Kike was in his way. But Kike didn't know that pause was coming because obviously the Rogers Center gets crazy loud. And you felt like that as a Blue Jays fan, like that was it. Let's not mention the inning before. Miguel Rojas, dude, like no. Miguel Rojas did that to the Phillies. I can't even freaking imagine. And then former Phil Jeff Hoffman. I'm not one of those guys when unless I hate the guy, and I don't really hate too many former Phils, but like once they go somewhere else and they're not playing us, I root for them. And I was ecstatic that Jeff Hoffman was having the postseason of his life. But I kid you not, I texted one of my buddies. I'm like, Hoffman's gonna blow it. He's going to hang a slider. What did he do? And then you hear him post game saying, "I cost everyone in here a World Series," and it breaks your heart. It's just like, damn, dude. Like, yeah.
And before we do sign off here, I would like to bring up something from earlier from your lists. You're not the
Mm.
only one that had to go through Cardiac Craig,
Oh
because
god.
he was the Red Sox closer for a long time before he ended up in a Phillies uniform. So I remember when the Phillies came, or when the Red Sox came to Philly, the 2018 season when we won the World Series. I was at one of those games. Rick Porcello pitched an absolute gem. He almost went Yabo that game, actually. It was before we had the universal DH.
Yeah.
And I remember we took the lead because Brock Holt came in and hit an absolute nuke. And it was like a 2-1, 3-1 game. And my dad is a big let's beat traffic guy. So Craig comes in, we get one out, and he's like, all right, let's start heading to the car. And I'm like, it's Craig. So
Yeah.
I'm watching this happen. And what does Craig do? Runner in scoring position. Oh, good God in heaven. It's like Craig was the best at times, but when you needed him the most, it was like for some reason he was just like it was almost like he had his AirPods in and he wasn't listening to what anybody was telling him. Like, huh? Hang the
Well,
knuckle
dude,
curve? Okay.
remember because we went to game one of the Marlins series and
Yes,
we
we
won
did.
that, I believe 3-1, and Craig closed it out. Someone gets on first, and then someone gets on second, and he like drops the ball because he balks on purpose to get that runner on third. It's a smart move when you're up two, just so he doesn't steal the signs. I remember my dad's next to me. He's like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" And in the midst of the chaos, I'm like, "Okay, I know Craig is Craig. What he did was kind of valid, and he got the save, but it's like." Yeah, nothing. Heart attack Craig what is the most realist definition you can have for him. And it's just like I just can't believe Dombo was like in the 2022 offseason. That's our guy. Like, let's go get him. And he's closing out playoff games. And yeah, man, it's
And I mean,
tough.
it sucks because reputation goes a long way for bullpen guys. Craig Kimbrell was a very elite bullpen guy when he was in San Diego and when he was in Atlanta. He was somebody
Yep.
that you were terrified to face. But it just shows that, like, longevity isn't always guaranteed. Your number one closer isn't going to be Trevor Hoffman, Mariano Rivera, Aroldis Chapman, Kenley Jansen. You're not going to get those guys all the time. Those guys are generational talents. And I
Yeah.
would like to assume that Craig could have been a generational talent, but we have to live with the memory of him letting runners in scoring position and giving up big games.
He is still like one of the, I think he has 4 saves or is it one of the above. Like, he's a Hall of Famer.
No
It's
doubt.
just like when it's the playoffs, like he's so hated in Philly, dude. It's ridiculous. You almost feel bad, but you don't. But it just shows you like one moment, like Hoffman, dude. If they don't win it, that's all he's gonna be remembered for. Like even when he was in Philly, well, because he was like a top draft pick, Colorado didn't work out. Signed like a minor league deal with us. His story's great. But if you ask a Phillies fans, what do you think of Jeff Hoffman? 2023 giving up the go ahead run against Arizona game 7. 2024 game 1 against the Mets when I was in the house. Just fucking losing his freaking mind on the mound. Alvarez single, Lindor single, just a bunch of singles, and then game 4, which I will give him credit. I don't think it's his fault. And going on another tangent before we end the episode, this is a topper point. Game 4 against the Mets. Ranger throws 4 and like 2/3, but then like the bases get loaded. Hoffman comes in, big balls. Hoffman does his job, gets out of the inning. What does Rob do after a 20-minute top of the sixth where Harper hits a leadoff double, but we don't get him to score? He sends him back out there. Why are we doing that? And then he walks the bases loaded. Estevez comes in, gets an out. Turner throws it to home. And then Lindor comes up. That's not on Estevez. That's on Hoffman, but if you look back, it's on Topper. And then he did it again in game 1 with Robertson, a 40-year-old, gets a big out in the sixth, comes back, 2 runners on. Matt Strom comes in, gets 2 outs. Homer against Teoscar. Don't really blame that on Strom, but I kind of do because his playoffs resume sucks. And it's just like, do not send a reliever out there for another inning if they just got a big out or if they're not Johan Duran. But that's it. That's for me. That's all I'm gonna say because if I keep thinking about the DS, I'm gonna lose my freaking mind.
Well, before Owen has another conniption here, let's just go ahead and say thank you for watching this edition of Baseball for Maniacs. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Drop a comment of some of your most heartbreaking losses, whether you're a Red Sox fan or a Phillies fan, you agree or disagree. Maybe you're a Rockies fan and you got 100 disappointing losses. Put them down in the comments. I want to read them all. But clips will be out on the TikTok. Make sure you follow Phillies Fan 3 on TikTok. Follow R Baxter 714. That's me. And then follow Baseball for Maniacs on TikTok as well. I'm not sure when we'll be back for our next episode because the stove has cooled off immensely. But
Yeah, if the
that
big we'll do like a breaking episode, like if Tucker signs or whatever. If Bader, we're not gonna do a Bader pod, but if Bader signs with the Phillies, I'm gonna do a solo reaction,
yeah, you do
and
you.
things
That's
are
on
looking
you.
up for 100%, dude. I'll do a whole hour episode on that. But we'll probably do top 5 best playoff moments coming up, just so we're not too negative for you guys, because like I said, with the sadness comes the absolute high of highs, which is winning in the postseason. But yeah, we'll post this. It'll be great. Let us know what you think, and you guys have a good one.
Owen, I'll see you in the next one, brother.
All right, later, dude.
Peace out.